Looks like we got quite a few people on here right now. So, hi, I'm Lloyd Allender with the St. Louis Real Estate Investors Association. Today is, what is it, the 11th, September 11th, 2020. Here with our legal update with Kathie Davis and her crew at Davis Travaglini LLC. And we'll let you take it over, Kathie.
Hi, everybody. Christine's not available today, but I think Chris is going to hop on in a few minutes. But we don't have a lot of news. We're working on our writ, and we expect to file it on Monday to see if we can get the execution stay in St. Louis County set aside. We're kind of letting the city sit for right now because that order is supposed to expire at the end of September. But if he renews it again, we'll go after that too. Our basic strategy with the writ, with the county, is we're trying the writ to the Eastern District Court of Appeals, and we should get a quick ruling. We can possibly appeal that to the Supreme Court, or they might bump it to the Supreme Court of Missouri. And if we lose in both forums, then we're going to file on a different test case, a federal lawsuit based on the unconstitutionality and of the taking without due process of people's property by not allowing them to execute on their judgments. In our division in St. Louis County, we are still, our judge is working really hard, and he's doing everything he can. It's the presiding judge that has made these orders, that they're calling COVID stays. If you want, I can send a couple of the orders so that you can see them to John, and he can post them for you. I mean, I understand that Judge Burton feels very bad about evicting people during the pandemic, but these orders are kind of ridiculous. But anyway, I'm going to let Chris take over because he's joined us and talk briefly about the city, Jefferson, and St. Charles. I know he's gotten some deals where he's supposed to be getting some of the rent assistance money for his landlords. I'm not exactly sure what's going on with those, but he'll tell us.
Well, most of the applications I've been involved in have been through active litigation for cases that we get set for trial. The judge has been giving out this mediation agency that the city has hired to mediate cases. Now, they generally, unless the tenant does not qualify, this mediation also includes them helping the tenant apply for funding through the city, which is now technically through the Catholic Charities, who has taken over the distribution of the money due to the city not being able to get out of its own way. And so the nice thing about CRC is that they have the ability to approve up to an additional $1,000 on what the Catholic Charities funding can do, and they've been getting me that within a day or two. Now, that doesn't mean I get the money, unfortunately, because no one we're doing this on only owes $1,000. I have to wait until they say you've been provisionally approved until such time as you're ready to dismiss your case, which means I need to get the rest of the money from the city, and the tenant needs to bridge any other gap. Very few of the tenants we're filing on owe so little that the money that is being provided to them, assuming they are approved and it gets sent, will actually not have to pay something separate. So, the money is starting to move. I have not heard anybody yet who's gotten approval on mine anyway, or any of my clients for the real CARES Act money. So, I'll be interested to hear if any of you or know anyone who actually receives any money. I'm still waiting. I've actually moved to applying with my address as the money the checks go to, not because I'm taking a cut from my clients, but because I want to see what comes and make sure my clients don't accidentally cash it and then waive the rest of the money if for some reason the money shows up prior to the tenant paying off their remaining balance. So I should hypothetically know more next week, but I've been, you're hoping that every week that we hear something. But originally they were telling me a 2-3 week turnaround on these, but I've been hearing that since August. So we will see. The rest of there's no, I guess there's not a whole lot of, any more update on the rest of the outlying counties. They're all running pretty normal, with COVID safety measures, but you can pretty much do whatever you want out there. I have, I think last week we talked about the CDC order that everyone is concerned about. I've only heard one of my clients actually receiving a CDC, hey, you can't evict us paperwork from a tenant, and it was in one that we're going to be evicting them for dealing drugs out of the property anyway, so it doesn't matter. So keep an eye out if your tenants do present to uniform. We are kicking around ways to challenge them if you think they are lying. If the case is not active, I don't know kind of what the timeline of that or what the actual way to do that would be. It might have to be some sort of separate action to specifically challenge their order, which may not be worth your time and money, because by the time we get it challenged and issued, assuming we win, and then you refile, it might be December 31st. So we'd have to take it on a case-by-case basis. But my first suggestion, if anybody comes to you with the CDC order, the CDC order does say that they have to pay you what they can. So, there's no need to get argumentative with them. Just ask them, where have you applied for this CARES Act funding? Are you working at all? Can you give me $200-300 a month as opposed to your normal $800? Something that the thing they're going to be signing says that they're paying everything they can. So you might be able to get some money flowing in, as opposed to just them sticking their head in the sand and waiting until December 31st. Now, some people may be jerks to do that, but I tend to believe most tenants in these situations are going to be honest. And it's been my experience and try. I mean, I was out in St. Charles County today and got a consent judgment with somebody that, they probably could have given me that order and stopped me, but they went ahead and signed a consent judgment and said they're going to pay, we picked a date they're going to pay by. So I think, and I'm sure you guys ever experienced this, most tenants who are good payers before, are even the ones who have had hard times, are going to be trying. So, our advice is to continue working with them, and only the ones I would say who are really not doing anything for you, is it make a whole lot of sense to file on at this point, who aren't talking to you, aren't working with you. So that's all I've got on my update. Not a whole lot of anything new information. And Kathie covered everything as far as the city ban.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you covered the CDC thing, Chris. We sat in on that national real estate call on last Friday for a while, but it didn't sound like they were going to be trying to challenge it anywhere on a national basis. I've got a law clerk who's doing some research on the writ for me, and I might ask him to see if he can find anything like that. St. Louis would be a decent forum to file a challenge to that CDC order, but I would want, some kind of national backing or national money to do that. I feel like we've already tapped our folks to do the writ and to do the federal lawsuit if necessary on our local eviction stays. And as Chris has said, that CDC order has so many, contingencies. We really don't see a lot of tenants using it. So we don't see that as much of a threat as the local judges' eviction stays.
I mean, I've been saying if the local judges would just mirror the CDC order, I don't know if I would really spend much effort challenging any of it if we could move forward just on the CDC order alone.
If they would let us execute unless they qualify under that CDC order, I think we'd mostly be okay. Right. One of the things they have to do if they want to invoke that order is they have to show that they've applied for assistance and not gotten it. And I think the problem that we're having with the holdover long-term eviction people is they're hunkered down. They're not sticking their heads out of the burrow. They're not applying for assistance. They know the game. They know that they can stay until the sheriff comes, and they think that that is all they need to do. In a way, it's unfortunate. Some people would be eligible for this aid, and if they would get it and it gets paid to the landlord, that would benefit everyone. But the long-term ones, possibly wouldn't qualify for it, but they're not sticking their heads out of their burrows until the sheriff knocks on their door.
Hey, Kathie, this is Diana and team. Towards the end of the webinar with National RIA, they are planning on challenging the CDC order. What they said was that they're waiting and just kind of gathering their facts because they want to pursue it in the right venue, They're really worried that, someone might, pursue it in a venue that would blow the whole thing up if it isn't. Right. This is way beyond my pay grade. So, but they did talk about they are wanting, and they will be challenging
They should,
the CDC
they should consider filing it here. This would be a pretty good forum. Our federal court here is fairly conservative.
Yeah, I gave Chris, I think last weekend, the contact information for the attorney that is represents the National RIA. So if you need that contact information, and call him directly. I mean, he's a great guy. So
Okay.
Jeff Watson. So if you still have that, Chris, if not, we can resend it. But yeah, because I do know they're planning.
I thought I'd passed it along to Kathie last week
You
whenever
know
you
what?
called me, Diane.
Somebody's going to have to send it to me again, because if you did, then I don't know what I did with it. We
I'm
have,
kind of in the same
been kind of
boat.
busy with this RIT stuff, but
Yeah.
yeah, I'd be happy to get in touch with them. We'd be delighted to act as local counsel for them, so they could file.
Okay.
We could talk to them about our judges here and our forum here and how it would be. I honestly think there's only one magistrate here who would be adverse to us. And you can, if you get assigned to a magistrate, you can elect not to have that magistrate. So I think the rest of the judges would be fairly amenable. And I guess I didn't do this part of the update. I always forget about federal court because I've been appearing there by phone, but federal court is open again. They have opened the courthouses to the public. They have mask rules and social distancing rules and everything. But if you have a federal court matter, you can go to court live. In all the courthouses of the Eastern District. That includes us and Hannibal and Cape.
Cool. I'll voicemail you with his contact information. I'm going to have to look it up again. So,
Thank
all
you.
right, no problem.
Anybody else got anything they would like to ask?
I'm sorry, this is Dave Soto. There was a couple things that were said on that call last week that I was wondering about. First of all, they had indicated that if a tenant does bring that letter, that we can say shows evidence that they did try to get assistance, and another source said no, we can't do that. And the other thing they talked about is beating the eviction to court before the letter. Does that make sense to you?
Well, there were a couple of things that were said that I didn't agree with when they were discussing the CDC order. And I can tell you that our position is if you haven't gotten the affidavit from the tenant, then you can proceed with your eviction as far as any local court will let you go. If they do bring it, it's certainly subject to cross-examination or an inquiry. And it's supposed to be an affidavit, which means it's sworn. So if they introduce that into a court proceeding, it's technically perjury. Now, nobody's going to prosecute anybody for perjury for something like this, I do not think. We can't even get murders prosecuted in the city right now, so perjury is probably not happening. But it means that the tenant should take it seriously. And if they're represented, by one of the not-for-profits, those people should take it seriously about what they're asking. And my hope is that the CDC order will prompt people, if they want to try to get a stay based on that it'll prompt them to apply for the assistance. Because again, we're told that the county and the city both have millions of dollars and a lot of it's not going out the door and people aren't applying for it. But I didn't agree with some of the things that those guys were saying about the CDC order, but you put 3 lawyers in a room, everybody's going to have a different opinion and we're all going to bill you for it. Yeah.
The only thing certain, right?
Right.
So I just posted a website from National Multifamily Housing Council.
Oh, hang on.
There's a coalition of National Association of Realtors is in there also.
Okay.
And a letter to CDC. And there's also and I don't know where that poster is, but I've seen it posted a couple different places. But there's a poster that Congress must act over housing crisis.
Well, I think that's correct. I don't know. I don't want to embarrass anybody by making you call yourselves out in front of the whole group, but I imagine that some people are having difficulty because they can't evict tenants, with paying their other bills. I just wanted to get something to write that website down with. I think it's, ludicrous that the county website was like, you can't be evicted, you can't be this, you can't be that. But by the way, your landlord better still be making the repairs, with no advice whatsoever about, wearing a mask when your poor landlord comes over, or his maintenance guys, or, anything. And there was an article in the New York Times last week, where the New York Times, which is a fairly liberal paper, had an article about how there's going to be a big housing crisis if all these landlords, go under. So,
Yeah.
but I will, when I get that contact info, I'll call the lawyer and see if there's anything we can do to assist them. And I also know that a colleague of mine who also does landlord work and who is one of the group that's working on the writ with us went to the board of the St. Louis Apartment Association to see if they might be willing to chip in or participate in a lawsuit. And he really didn't get anything positive back from them. They seem inclined to just sit this out. So hey, Michael, anybody else have anything that you'd like to ask us? I have to get on a call. Oh, I still have some time. I have to get on a call in about 10 minutes for a legislative update. And I always love those. I know that one of the people on the call is going to be an alderman from the city who has, who is wanting to pass this ordinance in the city that would severely limit neighborhood associations and what have you ability to have security cameras and use that security footage. And part of her ordinance, her proposed ordinance, is that if there's any evidence of crimes gathered from these security cameras, that they would have to be destroyed, this evidence. And I'm really looking forward to asking her if she thinks it's a good idea to have an ordinance that requires people to destroy evidence, and what she thinks our local judges would feel about evidence being destroyed. I think that's going to be thought-provoking.
Definitely.
Yeah. So if anybody doesn't have anything, we'll see you next week. I got to get on this legislative call, and then I'm working on the writ. So,
And we appreciate your coming
Yeah.
on with it. And we're going to move on to our haves and wants section, with something we added on to, tacked on to the end of your updates.
okay.
So,
I don't know what that is, but I think I'm going to leave now. And I'm going to send some of these COVID orders to John so that he can post them so people can look at them and see.
Kathy,
What's
Paul's
going
asking who's proposing the ordinance.
Annie Rice is one of them. Yeah.
All right, thanks, guys.
Okay.
thank you, Chris. Kathie. See you next week.
See ya.
Thank you, guys.
Okay. Now we're on to our haves and wants session. And I will say, only thing I'll ask you this week, if you want to give your email address or a phone number, let's not just post it, because I had somebody that didn't get a chance to be on the call. They went to the recording, and on the recording they don't see the chats. So if we can first give our once we give our haves and wants, don't just say, well, I'll put my contact on the chat. Just go ahead and give out your email address or how you'd like to be contacted verbally, and that way it'll be on the call. So anybody that watches it later can also contact you. So anybody have anything? Get things started out? If not, I'll start off. I mentioned last week that my son is looking for a place. I think they're concentrating in South County. So any wholesalers there, don't mind doing some work. Got a small single family or even a multifamily. I always tell young investors that are still renting an apartment, well, what should they invest in? I suggest doing a 2 or a 4 family. You can get the same low interest financing, plus you can have all your tenants pay for your rent. And I mean, I found that out the hard way. After I'd rehabbed my first house spent 4 years of sweat equity, I bought 2 duplexes and flipped them and turned them over. You raised the rents, got the value up, and made a lot more money in that 2 years than I did the 4 years that I had my sweat equity in my first house. So I give that as advice, and I'm hoping my son might take that advice too, but we'll see. Anyway, yeah, okay, give him my phone number, 636-578-2107. Contact me if you got something, don't mind doing some work, wholesalers or something that needs a little extra work. South County is, we're open for looking at it. Okay, anybody else? Anyway,
Yes, David Randolph.
David, I saw Maria and hold her hand up. I'll get to you next, David. Okay.
Okay.
Go ahead, Maria.
Hi guys, my name is Maria Vargas. I am relatively new to St. Louis. I've been here. I'm currently renovating a couple of properties in the South City area. I'm going to be running them as short-term rentals, so Airbnb. And just as a result of my networking with folks down here in the city, I'm going to be managing Airbnbs for a couple other investors. So I wanted to put it out there that if anyone has a short-term rental or a property that they've been considering operating as a short-term rental or know anyone in that situation, I'd be happy to meet with them and potentially see if it's a good fit for me to operate it on their behalf. You know, the goal obviously is to get the highest rating possible, to have it be as booked up as possible, as well as have premium rates. So happy to help anyone that may be working out so great as a traditional. Best way to contact me, I'll give you guys both my phone number and my email, so you can choose how you like to communicate. Email is maria@investwithmaria.com. Once again, maria@investwithmaria.com. Phone number is 617-775-4348. Once again, 617-775-4348. Thank you so much for having me, y'all.
Okay, thank you, Maria. And my son gets a 4-family, wants to do a couple of those other units as Airbnbs. We'll contact you.
Yeah, and actually, I was going to tell you, Lloyd, I have several investments that I got into house hacking, which is exactly what you're describing. I'd be happy to talk to your son about that, because if I know one thing is whenever my parents give me advice, I'm like, whatever. And then another investor tells me the same damn thing. I'm like, oh my God, can you believe that? So I'd be delighted to talk to your son about that and give him my real life examples, because I've been able to scope up 3 properties that are cash flowing like a cow in a very expensive market. That would be in Denver, Colorado. And I did it, you know, they call that house hacking. Got to give it a sexy name, right?
Yeah. You get that generation interested in it.
Exactly. Put a hashtag in front of it.
Okay, David, you still there?
Yes, I'm still here. It's great to see so many people on the call here. I didn't even know you guys are doing the have and once. I put this out on the Facebook group, but since we got so many people on here, and I didn't even know there was a Facebook group till a couple of days ago, I am still looking for drywall repair person. So this is not someone who hangs 100 sheets of drywall in a basement. Those guys, that's all they want to do. I need somebody who can do repair work, small holes, 12 inches, 2 foot, like the plumber who stepped through my ceiling and installing the laundry room on the 2nd floor and put his foot through my popcorn ceiling, and probably about 10 or 15 other things where the electrician ran my ceiling fans to all of my bedrooms that I always do, and so there's some cut lines. So I'm looking for someone who can tape and mud and do small drywall repair work. In this current rehab house is in St. Peter's. So somebody is willing to go to St. Peter's. If you could text me or call me or something at 636-685-2990. That number again, text or phone call, preferably text actually, 636-685-2990. And they can also send me an email, which is my name, David Randolph at realtyrenovator.com. So that's DAVID, and then Randolph, there's no dots, RANDOLPH, and then at Realty Renovator. Realty is REALTY, and then Renovator is RENOVATOR.com. So I'd appreciate that. They got to be able to tape and mud it too, paint ready. Okay, so please send me somebody who can do that. I would appreciate it very much, guys.
Okay, thank you, David. Anybody else? Either have something or want? Looking for a particular service? Or we got a service provider? Usually have somebody at our regular meetings, our heating AC guy, or a HVAC guy, or a plumber, or a landscaper, but not on the call today.
About an electrician over in Illinois. Anybody got any good electricians over in Illinois that are reasonable?
Looking for an electrician in Illinois. Okay. Let's see, is
Yeah.
Diana still on the call? Anybody else? Just go ahead and unmute yourself if you got something. No, Diana lives over in Illinois, so I'm not sure if she knows anybody over there because she has a lot of her rentals are over on this side of the river. No, wait, why don't you go ahead and give us your contact information, Dwayne. If somebody listens in, they might know somebody. Listen to it later because if people, we'll put this, we'll post this on the web.
It's 314-255-3408.
Okay. Got a little bit of a
Also
break up
looking
there.
for some window installers. It just dawned on me.
Window installer too.
Oh,
Okay.
my phone number is yes. But you want my phone number again?
Yes, please.
314-255-3408.
Okay. Got it that time.